Veteran services will be affected. Visa and passport processing will be delayed, and the Border Patrol and law enforcement could be curtailed. D.C. Delegate Eleanor Holmes Norton and John Stanton from CQ Roll Call join us now. A roll call, as you know, covers the news of Capitol Hill. Glad to have you both with us. First question, Eleanor, Congresswoman Norton, how likely is this to happen to us?
Well, I was here when it happened more than once.
Right.
In 1995, and you would think that everybody learned his lesson then. I think they have. I'm not one of those who's predicting a shutdown. If a shutdown occurs, it will be because of 80 Tea Party freshmen. They have taken control not only of the House, they have taken control of the Republican Party. They have sent the Speaker scampering for what they want. So unless he can say to them, look, you got this out of your system, I let you get your $100 billion, the time for compromise has come, unless he can beat some sense into their heads, then there could be a shutdown.
John, you see it that way? No compromise in the win from the right wing, the Tea Party wing of the Republican Party?
I do to a certain degree. I think the congressman is right that I think that they may be able to come up with something if they're able to find some cuts that the president has already said that he would like to see done. There is this sort of, let's see who blinks first that's going on right now, though, between Majority Leader Reid in the Senate and Speaker Boehner, and for at least the next couple of days, I think at least it's going to be a little.
Well, the president's already blinked because or at least the Congress has. They want to cut. The Congress says we will cut 40% from the president's 2011 budget. They want to cut 60%. So you would think that sensible people outside of an insane asylum could then get down to business and agree on something.
Well,
we're not that far apart.
But again and again, though, what I'm hearing from the Republican aisle is that we didn't come here to compromise. We didn't come here to make deals. We came here to cut this spending. But they're focusing on the 12% of the budget that doesn't really cut the deficit at all.
Well, I think that's one of the big problems that Boehner has right now is if he does find something that Democrats can accept and that the White House can accept, will his people accept it? And it's really not very clear yet whether or not he can do that.
I'm curious about the lessons learned from '95. Congresswoman Norton, you said you thought you'd learned some lessons.
Oh, boy.
But what lessons politically did each side learn in the way this is playing out as we watch the deadline approach?
Well, watch the Majority Leader Reid. He understands who will get blamed. The 80 freshmen and the rest of the Republicans who are going along with them really don't. So they're listening to what amounts to a very small group of Americans who, quote, sent them here.
Well, on the other hand, Newt Gingrich is a very different time in the 1995 situation. These 80 Republicans you're talking about will say, look, we have a mandate to do what we're doing. They're pretty sure they'll get blamed if the shutdown doesn't happen and they compromise.
Well, where's the mandate for a shutdown? The mandate was to make some cuts. Where's the mandate to make the cuts out of only the domestic spending? That would be overplaying your hand, it seems to me.
Well, they also, in '95, Republicans made some of the same comments and same sort of arguments of what they were doing, and then once the park started to get shut down, the Washington Monument's going to be shut down, those things started to happen. You started seeing people not being able to go hunt, and that was their base. That's when it started to hit them, and the pain of the shutdown really sort of got onto Republicans.
All right, you mentioned pain. What's going to happen in this neighborhood? What will Washingtonians know is wrong the minute the government closes its doors?
Well, we in the district are also worried about some horrific inroads to our home rule that are in this CR. But look, this is a government region, so we will feel it. Let me tell you who will feel it. I can't resist reading from the Fiscal Commission, the one that everybody's afraid of. Here's what they say. In order to avoid shocking the fragile economy, the Commission recommends waiting until 2012 to begin enacting programmatic spending cuts and waiting until fiscal year 2013 before making large nominal cuts. Budget cuts should start gradually so they don't interfere with the ongoing economic recovery. Why isn't anyone talking about a double-dip recession or worse if these $100 billion in cuts, in fact, go through?
So what you're saying, even if the $100 billion goes through and the president somehow signs on and there is no shutdown, we could be hit economically in this region.
And I'd almost rather there be a shutdown than have anything like $100 billion go through, because you're almost guaranteed a double dip or worse.
On the other side of this thing, I have heard Senator Mitch McConnell say that he's ready to go behind closed doors and work this thing out with the White House. Do you have a sense that there are some cooler heads to prevail on this thing, and that not only would they maybe not have a shutdown, but actually come up with a plan that would actually deal with the long-term federal debt with that $100 billion is just a drop in the bucket?
I think so. I think, Senator McConnell is obviously one of the few that can do that. Speaker Boehner's staff has started actually talking to Senator Reid's staff, it sounds like, to try to find some way to bridge the gap. And appropriators in both chambers are not big fans of cuts, and they're definitely not big fans of the government getting shut down. And I think they're probably already starting to try to find pressure points to figure out an agreement.
You are optimistic that something like that could happen?
I'm not optimistic, but I think that when you get, most negotiations have to go to the wire before people realize, what in the world am I doing? And I think that when they get back here and Boehner reads them the Riot Act of 1995, they'll begin to understand.
Very quickly, federal workers are not the most popular folks around right now. And we see the rage toward unions and so forth going on in Wisconsin. Do you think that that is continuing to the attitude of, we don't care if these folks are out of job or furloughed for 2 or 3 or a month or whatever?
Oh, they don't care at all, but they do care about the services these valuable civil servants render, and that's what we're depending on.
Talk about the attitude of people on that.
Well, I think the Congressman's right. And, in this region, we grew up here around civil servants. We know them as our friends and family, and for us, it's just sort of, they're just regular people. But outside, they've become sort of this boogeyman for particularly the conservative movement. But even in Wisconsin, you started to see some Republicans start to cringe a little bit at what's happening and feel like the governor maybe is overreaching by trying to, break the union completely. So it could have a backlash at some point.
All right, we got a few days before this could all happen here, March 4th and counting. John Stanton, Congressman Eleanor Holmes Norton, thanks for coming in. We appreciate your time today.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Now, we have launched a